need to talk about that. We can do it for you. Yeah, figure it out. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Today is Wednesday, February 18th. It is 5:30 p.m. I would like to call to order the Planning and Land Development Regulation Board. Please stand with us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Irene, roll call, please, to determine a quorum.
Vice Chair Albano is excused. Chair Shank.
Here.
Board Member Hilton.
Here.
Board Member Nicholson.
Here.
Board Member Ferguson.
Here.
Board Member Stansel.
Here.
Board Member Gross.
Here.
Board Member Decker.
Here.
School Board Davina. Here. We have a quorum.
Wonderful, thank you. We'll move to the next item on our agenda. Tonight, we will be approving minutes from the December 17th, 2025 business meeting and January 21st, 2026 workshop meeting. I would like to call for approval individually, not together. So did everyone receive the minutes for the business meeting on December 17th?
Yes.
Do we have a motion to approve? Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Irene, roll call, please.
Board Member Gross.
Yes.
Board Member Decker.
Yes.
Board Member Hilton.
Yes.
Board Member Stansel.
Here. Yes.
Board Member Ferguson.
Yes.
Board Member Nicholson. Yes. Chair Shank.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. We will now entertain a motion for the January 21st, 2026 workshop meeting. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Thank you. Irene, roll call, please.
Board Member Gross.
Yes.
Board Member Decker.
Yes.
Board Member Hilton.
Yes.
Board Member Stansel.
Yes.
Board Member Ferguson.
Yes.
Board Member Nicholson. Yes. Chair Shank.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. We'll move to the next item on the agenda, 56 Hargrove Grade Zoning Map Amendment, application number 6185. Mr. Nguyen.
Good evening, Madam Chair and agency members. This is the rezoning request from IND 1 to IND 2. So it was continued from October 4, 2025, primarily due to two concerns. The first one was the consumption use of the new proposed facility, whether it is using 14,000 gallons per day or is it 25,000 gallons per day. The second one is relating to traffic on Hargrove Gray, especially at the intersection with US 1, and also the condition of the pavement of Hargrove Gray. So those two concerns will be addressed and will be presented by Mr. Michael Hansen, Senior Planner.
Thank you. Mr. Hanson.
Good morning, Michael Hansen, Community Development.
Afternoon, Mr. Hanson.
Oh, yeah, sorry, afternoon. It's been a long one. I apologize. As Mr. Nguyen stated, this item was last heard by the Planning Board on October 14th. As a reminder, it's located on the north side of Hargrove Grade, opposite this T intersection with Hargrove Lane. It's industrial designated for future land use and light industrial with the existing zoning. The applicants requested IND 2 for the purpose of developing that concrete batch plant. Since the planning board last heard this item in October, there was a discrepancy at that meeting where the application materials that we had previously received, the request was for 8,000 gallon draw per day. During that meeting, it became relevant that the applicant was looking at a maximum draw of 25,000 gallons per day. That request was then sent after the continuation to our contracted hydrogeologist, where they analyzed the additional draw. They had a couple more questions for the applicant that was provided to them. Ultimately, the hydrogeologist stated that they didn't anticipate any kind of interference with the operation of the nearby city potable water wells. They did recommend that the private water well for this particular application, should the rezoning be approved, be located as far away from the existing city potable water wells as possible, which would locate it closest to the road for Hargrove Grade, away from the potable water wells that are to the northeast and northwest. Based on the documentation that the applicant provided with their flow rate, the contracted hydrogeologist did have a comment that they wanted to offer to the applicant regarding a flow rate of 220 gallons per minute from the well may not be realistic or sustainable based on the hydraulic properties of the confined surficial aquifer. And it was their experience that a flow rate between 30 to 100 gallons per minute would be more realistic for the type of well withdrawing the groundwater from that confined surficial aquifer. Additionally, there was a request by the planning board to retrieve an additional email from the former deputy director for community development. That was included with the application packet that the planning board received. The nature of that email had an attachment that had an initial water consumption letter that was initially reviewed by community development staff. And in that document, that's where it had language for the original anticipated 8,000 gallons of water per day. But that's been included in your application packet. And lastly, as Mr. Nguyen stated, because the city was doing a traffic intersection evaluation study at the time, city staff has completed that traffic intersection evaluation study. I've invited Sean Castillo from Traffic Engineering here in the event that planning board has any questions related to that study for further evaluation by this body. Since this meeting last occurred, the applicant also tweaked or modified their volunteered restrictive covenants that they provided the city with. As a reminder, these provisions were volunteered by the applicant and not requested by staff, as it's solely up to the applicant to be able to provide them. As I go through the next few slides, anything in red is modification. So you'll see slides that say either not modified or modified as it goes through the volunteered applicant restrictive covenants. There was no changes to the traffic restrictions that the applicant is trying to limit themselves to, or truck operations, roadway protection, water usage or environmental protection, air quality or dust control, fuel storage or hazardous materials. Section 6 for compliance enforcement and remedies, there was a first sentence that the planning board took a exception to back during the October 14th meeting. So the applicant has struck that sentence, as you can see on the screen in front of you. That way the restrictive covenants will run with the land regardless of whether or not the property is operated as a concrete batch plant. There's no changes to severability, waiver, amendment, conveyance, or violation procedures or enforceability. The application originally had a staff recommendation for approval, which still stands. The staff report was analyzed by staff, as I mentioned earlier, in the last time that this came before this body, back in August of 2025. And based on the criteria, staff has a recommendation for approval in the rezoning of this property from IND 1 to IND 2. As far as next steps go, the recommendation will be forwarded to City Council as far as any kind of rezoning application. It will be scheduled for first and second readings by City Council, and then if approved, the developer will then have to submit for technical site plan application prior to developing the site, which based on the scale of it, as far as the square footage, if it exceeds 40,000 square feet in development, may come back to the planning board, or if it exceeds 100,000 square feet of development, would then come back to City Council. I'm available for any questions. Otherwise, the applicant's team here's in attendance, and they do have a short PowerPoint that was geared towards addressing some of the questions.
Thank
So,
you.
if you'd like, I can pull that up for you.
Okay, applicant, please approach. State your name for the record.
Good evening, Michael Schimento for the applicant. Last time we were here, we went to the presentation, so I don't think I need to take your time or the community's time to go through everything again, but to address your concerns as to why we tabled it, it was the water issue. That issue got clarified, I should say. There was a mistake on our part when we made the application of 8,000, but it is 20 to 25,000 gallons per day, which is essentially a swimming pool. As it relates to drawing on the aquifer, those things are always done at a later time when we go to get permits. But we don't anticipate having to draw a continuous draw on the aquifer, the superficial aquifer anyway, because what we do is we pull the water out and we store it in tanks so that when we need it at high use periods, it's there. So the issue is a real issue, but it's resolved through engineering and other mechanisms. The issue with traffic, as you recall last time, we have a traffic study that showed that there were no consequences, failures to levels of service at the intersection there, and then the city went and did theirs and they confirmed that traffic engineer. So you can see that based upon the requirements that we're here tonight for on a rezoning, the traffic study confirms that there are no problems with the intersection. Now, that doesn't mean that people won't see more traffic there, because anytime there's growth, or whether it's this project or another project with 30 semis that come in for a distribution facility, there will be more traffic. But that doesn't mean that there is traffic failures at that intersection. In addition, when we come in for a site plan, we'll have to do a subsequent traffic analysis, which will be detailed for turning movements. And at that point in time, it may be required that we extend turn lanes, decent lanes, and the like. But that's done at the engineering phase, which we'll come back to at a technical site plan. So I think those are the only things we really have to add. We're here to answer questions. We have our engineer, our owners, and our employees here to answer any questions that you may have. But tonight is a rezoning. Your job is to evaluate whether the rezoning is consistent with the comprehensive plan. You have our experts that demonstrate that it is. You have your experts that demonstrate that it's consistent. And so we're asking for your approval, and we're here to answer any questions that you may have or address anything that the community may have. Okay.
Thank you. We'll return to the planning board. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I was thinking about this request as it relates to its neighbor, the chemical plants. Is it Sunbelt Chemical next door that's already zoned industrial too? Is that right?
Correct.
If they were to have purchased this land and wanted to expand their operation, would it have been any different in terms of the criteria to allow it or deny it, in your opinion?
Let me make sure I understand. If Sunbelt had purchased this property and wanted to change it to
Expand their operation.
industrial too, it would need to go through the same process and prove that it was consistent. Now, addressing the concerns that the community has with changing it from industrial 1 to industrial 2, that's why we created the covenants that are the performance criteria that will remain on the land. So there is no obligation to change Sunbelt's proposal to industrial 2. There is not. So does that answer your question? But with these,
I'm just trying to wrestle with the neighborliness of the existing industrial 2 with the request to convert industrial 1 to 2 for a ready mix plant, in my mind.
well, there are issues in your comp plan about compatibility, and obviously in your own comp plan, when you have an industrial comp plan designation, which this property is, it's clear in your comprehensive plan that both uses are permitted in there, and both are what they use the word compatible. So when we talk about compatibility of industrial 2 next to industrial 2 next to industrial 1, in those situations, which are all over the county, those are always deemed compatible.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions?
Now, I have a question, I think it's for staff. When was this particular area zoned industrial 1? Was that before Sunbelt was there or after?
My understanding is that the Sunbelt Chemicals facility predated the annexation by the city and then subsequent zoning to industrial 1.
Okay, so the intent at that time of that zoning was that area to be industrial 1?
Based on our comprehensive plan, it was designated as industrial, which allows for both industrial 1 or industrial 2. The properties, as it was zoned in that initial adoption of our land development code at the time, primarily were identified to be light industrial and warehousing, which is the IND 1.
If I could add to that, so I think I'm correct, so I won't guarantee it, but when we became a city, we adopted Flagler County's comprehensive plan and land use designation for probably a period of 3 to 5 years, if Fong remembers, and it was in about 2004 and 2006 that the city themselves adopted their own unique comp plan and then subsequently their own land development code. At that point in time, all the properties in that area, other than Sunbelt at that point in time, were all zoned just industrial at the city, at the county. They didn't have it distinguished between the two. And so when the city adopted their maps, that's the colors they put on these properties there.
Yeah, I can concur that with Mr. Chimento. We became incorporated at the end of 1999, and we carry the same land use and zoning from the county up until approximately 2004. That's when we started the process of our comprehensive plan and then also our zoning districts.
Can we have the staff member from the traffic report talk about it and what they found? Because I know that that was a contention last time, so I would like him to explain so that the public can hear what his findings were as well.
Sure, by all means.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to introduce to you, this is Mr. Sean Costello. He's our traffic engineer who conducted the traffic study at Hargrove Gray.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi, so when I did this, I was,
Pull the mic closer, please.
I apologize. It's been a while since I've done this, but when we did this, I was just asked just to do a simple intersection evaluation. So I did that. We got traffic volumes that I believe were collected in sorry. I apologize because it's been a few months since I finished this, but I believe that the traffic counts themselves were collected either in the September or October timeframe. But it was just, like I said, it was just a very simple analysis, a very typical of what you would get from a study if it was performed by FDOT themselves. So when we did our evaluation, we looked at the amount of traffic that's on West, traffic that's on Park Grove Grade itself. Did an analysis program that we have is called Synchro. That's like specifically for looking at intersections. So it's based off of whatever configuration that you want to put in.
Can you speak up a little bit?
I apologize, guys. I'm sorry. It's been a minute.
I'm old, I don't hear so good.
And so, as you can see here, in this first section, we evaluate the existing conditions. We pull it off of information that the city collects themselves, and we supplement it with data that we get from the state. So, for example, you get information in here like the daily traffic volumes that we got from the state and from the city that we put on there. So as hopefully you guys can see here, there's approximately 18,700 vehicles per day on that section of US 1, and about 3,300 vehicles per day on Park Grove Grade there. Park Grove Grade, yes. And then with the intersection data that we collected at the intersection itself, I go down here, you'll see that based off of the traffic counts that we took, that the intersection overall operates at an acceptable level of service based off of standards that we utilize from the state itself. So mainly because this is an unsignalized intersection, the turning movements are the ones that get affected the most here. So as you can see, the eastbound left, which is the movement that a lot of us would be the most worried about, it did experience some heavier delays, but the volumes were so low for that eastbound left that it really doesn't affect the operation of that intersection overall, if that makes sense. And then if you look at the other movements, such as the eastbound left and the northbound left, those operated just with very minimal.
So for your delays that you have here, is it what's currently there, or is this even comparing what will become the delay with the added vehicles? Because that's what we want to see, is a comparison to what it is now, what it will become, and how much is that difference? Because these numbers, from what I'm looking at, is just what it currently is. Yeah. And then we say, hey, we're going to add in X amount of vehicles per day, but then we don't see the study that says this is what the delay is going to turn into now, because it can go from an eastbound left from 27.6 to 60. Yeah. And if we don't see that, then how do we have a legitimate graph that we can look at? And that was some of the stuff we were trying to get the city to look at, because that intersection is, my office is on the corner of that intersection, so I know that intersection. That intersection floods already the way it is. You add that many more vehicles to it, it can damage the roadway and make it flood even more. Like, when is that going to get addressed? I know that's a whole different situation. Yeah. But we need to know those numbers of what is it going to be looking like. And this part, I mean, try to make it to where we understand it,
Okay.
where we don't know these numbers and we don't study this stuff, and this isn't our degree.
So this is based off of existing conditions. When I spoke with Fong, with Michael, wanted.
Please speak into the mic so that everyone can
Sorry
hear
about
you.
that. Okay, so when I did this, this is based off of existing conditions. When I spoke with Fong and with Michael and stuff, it was explained to me that we wanted to make sure that at least right now that we knew what the intersection operated at. Unfortunately, we can't do an additional analysis until we know for sure what is coming in.
Okay, so you don't have a system that you can say, these are our numbers now, and if we tack in another X amount of vehicles, this is what the statistics are gonna say.
Internally, we don't, because there's certain tools that are needed to be able to do a traffic impact analysis that we don't have right now, and that's normally the job of the traffic engineers who are doing the work on behalf of the developer. Now, we check it and we make sure that the information that they're giving us makes sense. But that's not information that we can do.
Okay, so this might be a question for staff then. So if we find that this is within the comprehensive plan and we push this forward, when they do the technical site plan, will we have those numbers then, and then we can critique it then too?
So with the application that came to you before in October, the applicants included their own trip generation report as far as the required traffic study that they were required based on the volume of trips that they are looking at doing. It did not trigger the need necessarily for what Mr. Costello mentioned is a full-blown traffic impact analysis at that time. Now, as Mr. Chimento stated, when this item comes back to the city as far as for a technical site plan application, based on the actual development and exactly what type of numbers they're looking at, it will be further evaluated where their submittal with that, their submittal of a traffic study with that application will then be further internally reviewed by our traffic engineering staff.
Okay.
Continuing on that theme, you have not done the analysis to look at what other development is happening along Route 1 that would also be affecting this, correct?
No,
So
no.
It's just what's happening today, not what the future holds.
Yes, exactly.
I have a question.
I'm
Oh,
just
go
going to
ahead.
finish with one more
Okay.
question. I see a discrepancy in the report where it's talking about 15 truck trips a day, and then somewhere else it's reporting between 27 a.m. and 7 p.m. trips. Which is it?
So in our covenant restriction that we have in front of you, that will be the maximum that our site will
And
produce.
what is that number?
Go back to it real quick.
In addition, while he's finding it, our traffic study that
Says-
we provide you
Yes.
addresses those issues. It addresses background traffic and future growth. It just deals with the level of service of roads to identify failures. Now, when we get into, we may have to come in and do signalization and turn lanes when we get to the next layer of traffic studies. And we will not be able to proceed unless we demonstrate and construct those improvements necessary to maintain the traffic.
Okay, so just thank you for bringing this up, because again, these numbers are all over the place. A states it will not exceed 200 trips per day, and then the next line says 27 a.m. and 7 p.m. So how do we go from 27 and 7, and how do we get to 200 a day?
My understanding, based on discussions with the applicant, a lot of the AM peak hour trips, they're, if I'm not mistaken, planning on having aggregate materials delivered to site, which would be approximately 6 to 7 vehicles. And then after that, a lot of their operations take off in the morning and come back. So it'd be a reduced amount of PM peak hour trips. Now, as far as the information regarding traffic impact analysis, the typical industry standard would be triggered at a level of 1,000 daily trips or 100 PM peak hour trips. So with these covenant restrictive agreements that are provided by the applicant, they're below that threshold. So typically during the technical site plan application, we would just be looking at a traffic study that takes the form of a trip generation report, which would be similar to this, to ensure that it's consistent with these restrictions that they are offering.
If I may, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Since I'm one of the a resident expert in this area, I would like to chime in. Basically, if you look at the restriction here, 200 trips per day, that's looking at the daily volume. And then the AM and PM is relating to the morning 1 hour period and the afternoon 1 hour period. So that's the maximum that they're going to generate. So if you take that and compare it to Mr. Castillo's existing condition, so if you can put it back, Mr. Hanson. So you look at that and you can see that the morning delay eastbound left, that's the heaviest one, is 27.6 seconds in delay. That equates to the how long it will take for you to wait in line in order to exit. That's typically not a heavy congestion or a waiting period. The reason it's a part of what we study is human behavior. So if you sit there for a longer period of time, the agitation and it become more irrational for a driver to take, inappropriate action, which basically will causes accidents. And that's where we look into that condition in order to do certain improvements or restriction to that. So if you take a look at the traffic caps or restriction by this development, you can distribute that using this traffic study, then you can see that there would be slightly a very small increase based on different turning movements. So here you can see that we basically will have an eastbound left, an eastbound right, and a northbound left. So you can see those are the three movements. So based on their restriction, in the morning there's 27 total. So you split that into three, and then you can add it to this, and you can see basically the delay in seconds, which is a very small increase in that. So that's typically, but that will be provided by their traffic engineer when they come in for the technical site plan.
So are you saying that there's only 27 trucks moving in the AM peak hours and 7 in the afternoon, or is it going to be 200 trucks moving in and out of there per day?
It will be capped at 200 vehicles per day. It is not just trucks. It will be other, trips as well. Cars,
then if-
deliveries, and stuff like that.
If you say 200 trucks, then what is the whole reason for the 27 AM peak hours and the 7 evening peak hours? Because then it messes with people's mind to think about, well, what are they trying to say? Is there only 27 trucks moving in the morning and the rest at night? Or what is this? So that's where it's confusing of why are you adding more verbiage to this than it needs to so that we can all understand it as a general public?
And I think it's important to note that AM and PM is only for 1 hour. And what is that time frame? Is it from 7 to 8?
It's an average between 7 to 9, and in the afternoon from 4 to 6. The average 1 hour peak period. And that's how our regulations condition upon the measurement of that. So
7 to 9 is not an hour.
One moment.
7 to 9 is not an hour.
yeah, I say it's the between the 7 to 9, the heaviest 1 hour between those two periods.
But that's a 2-hour period.
Yeah, it is a 2-hour period, but you measure, because when we conduct counts, we conduct every minute of it, and then we take the highest.
Figure an hour and 27 trucks, that's every 2 minutes, a truck's going through there. Figure it out mathematically. Every 2 minutes, a truck's going out. That's a lot. That's gonna mess up your time turning. Just by,
aspect
you know,
that I think is going to affect this along with the trip generation is for the concrete truck to accelerate and decelerate is far different than a vehicle, which is predominantly what's happening, regular cars, what's happening at that intersection right now. We don't have concrete trucks pulling it out of there. So I think that study is great for vehicles, but not necessarily for this particular use.
Can I just interrupt real quick? So you all are here as planning board, and you have your process and procedures that you evaluate projects for. One of them is traffic. The way that the law allows the city to regulate traffic is they have a set of rules upon which traffic studies by traffic engineers and traffic consultants do this. I think Fong has already stated that this is industry standard. This is the way that we do it today. This is the way we've been doing it for 20 years. And this is the way we'll do it for the next 20 years. So what I'm hearing is that some of you may find skepticism in the standard traffic engineering report, and that's fine. But that's not what we're here to talk about as to whether your traffic engineers, your traffic studies, our traffic engineers, and our traffic studies. The evidence on the record is that there is no adverse impact to the level of service to that intersection. That is not to say that there won't be more traffic there, though, okay? So we're not saying that there's not going to be more traffic. There will be 200 trips between 12:01 a.m. and 11:59 p.m. During the busiest times of the day, which is the AM peak and the PM peak, you see what our maximum are. And because of those maximums, you all have also heard from your staff that there is no adverse effect to the intersections. So whether you want to say that a truck accelerates faster or slower, because I don't necessarily know that every vehicle that passes through that intersection is a car, because we've been out there and we've seen semis, and we've seen tractor trailers loaded with bobcats and those types of things. So I don't know how we could ever answer the question unless we get real granular and go and look at axle lengths and those types of things, which is not what the city does, the state does, or we do in this situation. So I don't know how to get that granular, and I don't think staff knows how to answer that question either. Yes, sir.
So the traffic study, I want to ask you this, and I'm going to get to my point. The traffic study was taken when? Just this past. So those newer developments on the west side of Palm Coast were already there and in place. Not that they're all built out yet, but they were there. So that was consideration in your study, I guess.
Yeah,
Is that true? And
Yeah.
future growth for those developments?
that was not
No.
considered
Future growth
here.
was not
Okay.
considered.
Yeah,
So
that's
my
just
next
what's
part of the
built.
question is, we're here tonight, in my eyes, and correct me if I'm wrong, staff, we're here tonight to change the zoning of the proposed site to the different zoning. The traffic study will come up again in the technical site plan. If we approve the zoning tonight, we're not approving the whole project, or we're not approving that we say it's good with the traffic study right then. I know traffic's a big concern in Palm Coast, believe me, I really know. But I think that the zoning is what we're looking at, and I think sometimes we get thrown off by studying the other areas too much. I think we need to look at that right now, and this will come back to us no matter what we do tonight for the technical site plan.
Well, in the covenant, it's there to address if in the future operating conditions would materially exceed these peak hour levels, owner shall commission an updated traffic analysis and seek an amendment to this covenant prior to such change. So they have the condition there to address it should we find an increase in the traffic. There's an impact. So the conditions are there. Are there any other questions from the planning board?
I'd like to say something.
Yes, sir.
You know, you mentioned that things were done in the past, and that's why we're gonna do it today, and it's gonna be for the next 20 years. That's an absurd statement, sir, because things do change. Things need to be adjusted. And just because it happened 20 years ago doesn't mean it's gonna happen 20 years from now. Some things have to change.
That's
And
why
there,
we're here for
and
rezoning.
plus, the other thing I wanna say is, their study does not give us the information we need about what it's going to be when this takes effect, or when the west side is even more populated. So their study is worthless at this point. So we need a newer one down the road.
Mr. Stansel, I'll clarify that.
Okay.
Their study confirmed that our study that is in front of you is accurate. Their study took the base conditions as to what's there today. Their study looks at what we call background traffic and growth. Our study confirmed that that's the base condition, and then we layer on our project to demonstrate. So maybe that's.
Well, he admitted that he didn't figure in the growth.
No, he didn't, and you're in the city's traffic study. Right, he's correct.
Okay, that's
Your traffic study is showing what is there today. Our traffic study confirms what's there today,
But
and then we show with our project that the level of service is.
But the traffic study that we have right now does not indicate what the traffic situation is going to be down the road.
Correct. You have that traffic study. That's part of our application, that we have the obligation. So you have a traffic study showing that it's good. That's why I said, our traffic engineers and your traffic engineers all agree that there's no adverse
Well,
impact.
his is the one that he's talking about is inadequate for the future.
So I think where Mr. Stansel is saying is when we pushed this, the last meeting, we asked for a traffic study to be done so we knew what was going to happen in the future with the changes. And the city only did what was currently going on. And that's where I think Mr. Stansel is saying, and I agree with him, the statement you made is not appropriate for that. The 20 years we've been doing in the past, 20 years in the future, things change. And if you drive around Palm Coast, obviously it wasn't done correctly because the traffic here sucks.
I agree with you.
Hold on, please let me finish.
Sure.
So I think that statement needs to be pulled back because just because we've done things in the past doesn't mean that that it should be done in the future and things don't change.
Agreed.
And I think the city, and we've had a conversation with almost everything that has come through this board about traffic, and we get pushed back from the city over and over again that that's just the way they do it, and it's not being changed. So for us having an opinion on traffic, I think it is justified, and we're going to continue talking about traffic because it is one of the worst things in Palm Coast and that we need to tackle.
Mr. Becker, I agree with you 100%. All I'm saying is that the way that projects and municipalities analyze traffic with total traffic per day, AM peak, and the methodology that what they do, that's the way it's done. Now, if the city wants to do something different, they're more than welcome to do something different, but in the rules and regulations that guide development and guide property owners and protect their rights, while also balancing that with the rights of the city, these are the process and procedures that the city currently has, and we have complied with them 100%. Our traffic studies agree with their traffic studies. Our traffic study shows that there's no adverse impact to the level of service. And so, although you may not agree with them and you disagree because you live right there and I work right there, and who else would know better than you? I, as an applicant, cannot satisfy that because all we are required to do is satisfy the city and DOT requirements. We can't deviate from that.
And I'm not saying your data or information is incorrect at all. So we've seen your data multiple times, and it's obviously coming from people who have higher education degrees, maybe that are specialized into that profession. So I'm not saying that your information is incorrect. We were just saying that we asked for certain information that was not presented to us.
Madam Chair, if I could add a point of clarification
Yes.
regarding this traffic study. What you have on screen right now, I pulled up a copy of the applicant's submitted traffic study with the application that was required for the rezoning. The intersection evaluation study that Mr. Castillo prepared was based on a discussion during the city council for the rezoning application at 11 Hargrove Lane. in, I believe it was September at that time. Direction was given by city administration for Mr. Castillo to evaluate the current impact of that intersection. So his study that he prepared was at the direction of the administration to the scope of what was asked of him and traffic engineering. The applicant's trip generation study that's on the screen shows trip generation numbers based on the theoretical proposed development and maximum development with the proposed new zoning or maximum development with the existing zoning. Just to make sure that the members of the planning board are aware of the differences between the two documents. They're slightly different, but they have overlap and synchronicity between the two that basically relay the fact that the proposed development would substantially be a much smaller impact to traffic than the theoretical maximum that you have on this document that could be developed.
One moment, please. Actually, when you look at the trip generation for the proposed development, it's not, neither one of these, under trip generation, proposed development, trip generation, maximum development with proposed new zoning, they're referring to manufacturing and general light industrial, which they're saying that as a heavy industrial zoning, it says during an average weekday, the maximum development will be expected to generate 862 trips, with 116 trips occurring during the AM peak hour and 135 trips occurring during the PM peak hour. All of these trips would be new trips. So those numbers are much higher than what staff has presented.
So, clarity, these numbers based on this submittal are based on the Institute of Traffic Engineers documentation, based on the most intense uses that could be developed on the property based on either the current or proposed zoning. So you're looking at theoretical maximums that potentially could be. And the applicant, based on the submitted and volunteered covenant restrictive agreements, is volunteering to substantially reduce the actual maximum that this site could be developed at as far as trips.
See, I think that is probably what we're looking for, Mr. Chimento, for the public to understand, is that when you look at the ITE trip generation, it does say that as heavy industrial, it could generate up to 862 trips. But your applicant is saying, we are agreeing to reduce that number to 200 trips. So I think what happens is that when you're presenting to the board and to the community members that are here, and we're saying 227 and 7, we are eliminating the fact that you've chosen to reduce it to that. But according to the experts, they're saying if it is used for heavy industrial, we would exceed that number by 4 times. And I think that's the way to say it to the public, so it doesn't seem like, there's a lack of transparency or we're trying to pull something off without the public being made aware. That's what leads to a lack of trust. So I think in explaining it that way, we acknowledge you guys produced this report, right? So you weren't trying to hold that back because you produced this report. So I think we have a lot of members of the public. Thank you, Michael, for putting this on the screen and seeing this is what ITE is saying it could be. The applicant has chosen to produce a covenant restriction saying that we will not exceed 200 trips. And if it is found that at some point in time that does happen, there are remedies to address that issue. Because what we have to understand is that it is industrial zoning. We don't have a lot of industrial zoning. We have done a lot of rezonings that have taken away some industrial properties, to be fair. And, landowners have rights. We have a responsibility to the Land Development Code. No matter how, we can't put our personal feelings into what we think. we have to look at the land development code. We have an expert in Mr. Nguyen, who's a traffic analysis expert, and he basically gave his professional, his expert opinion and interpretation of these reports. And if the applicant has already chosen to reduce it by 4 times from what they could actually do at that time with that zoning, we have to take that into consideration. And then staff is recommending also, and most of you know, the planning board, we dig into it. We ask the questions. We don't just vote yes or no without asking the questions. However, at the same time, we have a responsibility to make sure our decisions are based upon the land development code. Because what we don't want to do is find ourselves in a situation where the city is having to defend something that the land development code permitted.
Yeah, Madam Chair, may I? Yeah. So I think the overall arching decision by this board, is that you look at, we have certain regulations that we enforce. So we adopted, for roadways, we adopted level of service D. If development come in and adversely impact that and degrade that adopted level of service D to service E, for example, then you have a basis in order to deny the proposal. But if it doesn't, then you should not base on that in order to deny a project. So, because that would be very legally indefensible by the city in order to pursue that route. So if I'm mistaken in that legal framework, our city attorney can provide input to that. But, you know, based on this, they have capped it, and they have looked at, our engineers already conducted the existing condition, and if you base on the number of cap trips, it will not exceed the level of service D, just to let you know that.
Thank you for explaining that. Thank you.
So I have a question for you. Where are they presently located? Where are you presently located?
You would have to approach and state your name for the record to respond, please. Thank you.
Austin Petty with Hard Rock Materials. We've been in business since 2002. Our first facility started with 9 trucks in Green Cove Springs. Then we got another 9 trucks and went to west side of Jacksonville, Baldwin. And then our third facility, right when the market started coming back after the 2008 crash, it took us a couple years to recover, but we went to 207 St. Augustine, which we are currently in this area now servicing, but we're trying to get more down here because our trucks are staying on the road for quite a long time instead of going from 45-minute rides all the way from 207, which all of our drivers live in Palm Coast right now, and they're having to travel all the way to 207 right now to, come and haul materials. And then we're also by the Jacksonville Zoo, where traffic is a big concern downtown Jacksonville, Jag Stadium, Florida, Georgia games. We understand traffic. It's just one of them things.
So in our zoning, in the zoning request here, and I guess this is me talking to the board, you guys, is we can look at this 2 ways with the trips. We could have something like an Amazon come in there and want to put a piece of, a building, a distribution center there. And then Amazon, you don't run tractor trailers, you just run these kind of cement.
Tractor trailers, we can limit it to, triaxle trucks, but tractor trailers do import us our
Okay,
rocket
you bring it in. But we would have trips all day long, in and out. If you've ever been, I've been to Amazon centers, and I've been to those kind of things. And tractor trailers run in and out of there all day. So to Sandra's point, I think that, that they have less trips, And, you know, I understand, believe me, I've lived here a long time, and the traffic is a big concern. I think that the Hargrove area needs to be, you know, developed a little more, and we do need, you know, things in there. But, you know, for me, it's, you know, a tough decision. I understand what you're saying about the trips and all, but, you know, I know there's a lot of people that have light industrial in there that are concerned, you know.
Could
But
I add one thing, if possible?
Mhm.
With some of the L2 that's already in that location, these locations have already found their niche. But without sitting here in front of y'all today, if we were to have bought one of them lots, I could put a concrete plant there right now without ever asking for this. Unfortunately, they're occupying, they don't want to give it up, so we went as close as possible to where these facilities were when we were brought in through the city of Palm Coast, because that's how we found out about the land,
Right.
was through, this community.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I have one question for you that I wanted to ask you about the tire washer, tire cleaning system.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any pictures for your presentation, Mr. Chimento, of what that would look like? And also your dust system.
There's different kind of tire wash systems. I guess that'll be development with y'all, what y'all would like for us to put in. You can have a grate where you run over it and you got water sprinklers that wash your tires as you go through, and then you clean it out at the end of the day. Our north side plant, we butt up to residential homes that we have a 30-foot buffer, and we pull out on the main roads where that's not in an industrial park, and that is on the video. We run street sweepers there. But on some of the other ones, you just have, it's sprayers on the ground over like a cattle guards, and when you run over that a certain amount, it washes everything before you.
So what would be the difference between a tire wash versus a tire cleaning?
I think it's just a different name, how someone said it, tomato.
Okay, I just wasn't sure.
I
because-
mean, I guess there could be brushes and all, but man, those things would break constantly. Drivers go through that or something. But it's just sprinklers that wash your tires off, and it falls into a catch basin underneath, and we clean it out daily.
That's the only thing one of the things that I would have a concern with staff, once if it's approved and once we move to, the technical site plan, is looking at the pan or the plastic geogrid type, because this is not my area of expertise, but I did try to look it up and see some different type systems. And I think that there was the one you said that was in the ground that you have someplace else,
Like
it's
a
not this.
A catch basin, kind of like a.
And you just
cattle
run
guard.
over it and they drive over it, and it doesn't look like this, right?
That does have a catch basin on it. That is a cattle guard.
So that's not the one that I'm talking about. There's,
There is some
You have other
plastic mats that you can ride over, but those tend to wear out.
no, we don't want that either.
Because then we would constantly be replacing, and then you would have maintenance.
But I'm not the expert on, that's just something I would like to just have a
It's
note for
something
staff to look at a little bit closer, once you get to that point. I just wanted
Comes
to.
with a site.
It's something that we've gotten real used to in the Jacksonville area, on bringing tire washes to, around.
Okay, now what about, because we know we do have lots of automotive repair shops and painting and so forth and so on. So what about the dust? What are you doing to capture the dust?
It's a 2025 plan. It's a very modern. It's got multiple dust collector systems on it. I believe we have our dust engineer. Anyways, we have an engineer that he is air quality control through the state of Florida, and he has to keep limit on us
Okay.
where we have to keep compliance, or we can't produce concrete.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
If the planning board would like, the applicant did submit with their application a video showing the operations of one of their sites that I can pull up for you.
Yes, please. Thank you. Oh, yeah, we got it.
This is a hard rock materials facility located about an hour and a half north. As you can see, it is butted up with a 30-foot buffer next to residential housing that is newly built, and they weren't on the market very long, with also about 150 yards from I-295. This facility does not sit in an industrial park. and there has never been a concern to local traffic while we pull out.
Going. I'm Austin Petty with Hard Rock Materials. I've been hearing a lot of concerns about ready-mix batch plants coming to the area, and I'm here to prove that it's not to be scared of. So let's do a little walk around and show you the process of how concrete is made. So let's get to it. Let's start mixing around.
All right, let's climb on up in the truck and get the process going. He's gonna catch our truck, see who the driver is. We're gonna back on up under the plant, get ready, wait for him to shoot us a ticket. Let's produce some concrete. Here, we're gonna hop out, grab our hose. It roughly takes 30 gallons of water per yard. Starting with fine aggregate, which is our sand, we are putting it up in our overhead bins. Here we are adding our 5767 coarse aggregate, which is our rocks. Go ahead and throw that up in our overhead bins. Now that we have our materials up in our overhead bins, we're now able to start putting everything in the back of our ready-mix trucks. As you can see now, everything's being introduced. What you see now coming off the conveyor belt is your rock and sand, but what you don't see is cement being added through a 6-inch hose. Here you're seeing raw cement being pumped into our silos as no dust is created. The truck's being loaded with your sand, rock, and cement. It's all being combined inside the drum. Now that all your raw materials have been added to the truck, the loading process is now complete. Now, once the material has been added into the drum, we take this now back to the area that we call the slump rack. The slump rack is where we usually come up with a designed mixture that the customer would like. If they're doing curbs, sidewalk, house slabs, it's all the different thickness of concrete that the customer desires. Once these trucks usually get washed down, we try to make sure there's no excess rocks or damaged windshields going down the road. Wash off all the trucks. We usually like trying to give our trucks a long entrance to be able to clean tires so there is no track out onto main roads or asphalts. Now that you've seen the process, how concrete is introduced to the truck is now pulling out the yard and on the way to make a customer happy. There was also some environmental concerns that we were wanting to showcase. Here's another facility that we have tons of birds, ducks. They love these ponds. We also have another neighbor. He invests in Wagyu cows, and they constantly can't stay out of the ponds. Here's another facility of all the fish, alligators. There's nothing that kills wildlife around here. They absolutely welcome these ponds. This pond is located by actually 5 ready-mix batch plants in this industrial park. While yes, there is 5 ready-mix batch plants in this industrial loop, there's also other multiple businesses that coincide next to us as sanitation, fencing, roofing, custom automotive shop, and a nursery. But other businesses store all kind of hazardous materials next to ready-mix batch plants all the time, and there's never been a hazmat team called.
It's been brought to my attention that the Sunbelt acid plant, they create hydrochloric, which is muriatic acid, and a ready-mix batch plant has been too close because the cement powder and muriatic is gonna somehow combust, and there's not a hazmat team in the area. Well, I'm here to show that is false information. We're not gonna, cement powder and muriatic does not make a combustible entity. So I'll go ahead and show. It is safe, not ideal, but it is safe when you pour muriatic acid in concrete. It doesn't, my hand is still here, it's not blown up. There's nothing to be scared of. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm a former school teacher. That was impressive.
I like the video because it breaks it down and shows what's going on, shows how it's not just being poured out into the open. You are somewhat enclosed into that machine where it fills in the truck that way. So I think the video does help give some visibility to it. I think back to the chair.
Thank you. Seeing no further comments from the board, we will open up for public comment. Public, please approach, state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Hunter, and I am affiliated with Auto House of Palm Coast, located at 15 Hargrove Lane. As before with the application for the rezoning of Hargrove Grade, the plant, I must raise some serious concerns. In your own section 2.05.05, it states must not be in conflict with public interest. We are an IND1 neighborhood, and we are a growing IND1 neighborhood. There are hundreds of businesses in this area, thousands of employees in this area of Palm Coast. This is a vital growth that's happening there. But since the induction of having the IND2 change from the previous application and this application, a lot of those plans got put on hold. A lot of those plans are costing mom and pop shops big money. And these mom and pop shops are what helps Palm Coast grow, because we're not only there in the IND1, because that's what we were told where the IND1 would need to be. So that's where we built. That's where we invested. That's where we have homes. That's where we have your home away from home, because you spend more time at work than you do at home. From a factual standpoint, this will have a negative impact, knowing that there is a demand for what the current park is promoting. The proposed development must not impose a significant hardship for the city. Hargrove Grade was not built for this level of heavy industrial traffic, and what will it cost taxpayers to repair or replace this road when it inevitably fails under the weight? Also, there is only one egress point, and that is US 1 and Hargrove Grade. There is a secondary egress point out to the west, but it is a dirt road that is impassable to most vehicles. And most importantly, the proposed development must not create an unreasonable hazard or nuisance or constitute a threat to the general health and welfare or safety of the city inhabitants. The quote from the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health Chemical Safety Guide, publication 2016-160, states, when hydrochloric acid comes into contact with calcium carbonate or cement dust, it can create carbon dioxide and hydrogen chloride gas, both of which are hazardous to inhale. The reaction is exothermic and may intensify airborne particulate exposure. It is especially relevant when cement dust is present in the air, such as near batching plants and truck washouts. And we do not have a hazmat team or trauma center in Flagler County. The city council decided last to decline this, and I hope you do the same.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members. My name is Joe Rossheim. I'm the owner of Ross Marine Ideas and You Name It Apparel and Graphics, located at 10 Hargrove Grade. We've been there for nearly 20 years. I stand before you today in strong opposition of the proposed project and the rezoning of this property from IND1 to allow a cement batch plant to be built. IND1 zoning was designed for warehouses, light industrial operations, and small businesses that can coexist and support one another. That is what exists in the area today. The proposed cement batch plant does not fit that pattern. It is fundamentally different in scale, intensity, and impact. While it is true that 2 nearby properties are zoned IND2, heavy industrial, those zoning designations predate the city of Palm Coast. They were inherited, not intentionally planned as part of the cohesive industrial corridor. Using those legacy designations to justify expanding heavy industrial use now would be a mistake. This proposed use is incompatible with the surrounding businesses. Existing property owners have made it clear, we do not want this plant to be built in the Hargrove Industrial Park. We have invested and continue to invest in the area based on current zoning and character. A cement batch plant brings dust, noise, constant truck traffic, and environmental concerns that are simply inconsistent with the established business environment. The roadway infrastructure is another major concern. These roads were not engineered for the volume or weight of the truck traffic that a cement mixing facility generates. Heavy trucks running continuously will accelerate roadway deterioration, increase maintenance costs, and create safety concerns for employees, customers, and nearby properties. Most importantly, there are serious health concerns and implications. Cement dust and particulate matter are not minor nuisances. They pose documented respiratory risks. Introducing a use that produces airborne particulate matter into an area not designed for heavy industrial operations puts workers and surrounding businesses at risk. Zoning decisions must be consistent, defensible, and grounded in sound planning principles. This proposal fails that test. We cannot ignore precedent. A similar batch plant proposal requesting the same zoning change was brought before this board and the city council and was ultimately rejected. If that project was inappropriate then, what has changed now? Approving the zoning after denying a similar request creates inconsistency in a policy and opens the city to potential legal challenges from the prior applicant. Rezoning this property would not be a minor adjustment. It would fundamentally alter the character of this area, undermine existing businesses, strain infrastructure, and expose the city to unnecessary risk. I respectfully urge you to protect the integrity of our zoning code, protect the businesses that already call this area home, and vote no on this proposed plan for rezoning request.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
your time and your consideration.
Thank you.
Good evening, all. I'm Steve Parrish, 15 Hargrove Lane. I represent the 68 units and 50 owners at Palm Coast Commercial Industrial Center. We've spent the last 20 years building our business, keeping that industrial park real clean, real neat, to invite our customers in. When I look for property in this area, I looked at places in industrial too, and I turned them down. I didn't want them, even though the price was better. Hargrove Grade itself can't handle the volume of vehicles. They talk about all their studies. It's great to see all these studies, but we live it. When we get stuck behind 3 tractor trailers making the left turn, it could take us 20 minutes to a half hour to get out of there. If you create the volume of the traffic of the slow-moving cement trucks, it's going to be worse. Without a light there, it's impossible. The road is not really built for it. Roberts Road, when they had the plant there, they built a road which is 12 inches thick with reinforced rebar concrete before the pavement. That's going to cost millions to fix, and it's going to cause us detrimental for our businesses. And this isn't about the concrete plant, this is about the zoning change. If you set the precedent to rezone this, we've all built our business as an industrial one. We have our customers coming down to see us. If this all turns into industrial too, if you allow one, you're going to allow the next, and then it's just going to turn into a mess for our customers. We have a community that's thriving back there. We're succeeding within the capacity for which it was planned. Right now, we feel like you're moving the goalpost after we've kicked the ball. We've all built in Industrial 1. We didn't want Industrial 2. So we just hope you listen to us and help us to not pass this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mark Knobloch. I'm one of your neighbors here in Palm Coast. I live off of Seminole Woods, and I'm excited about this project because it would take 20 minutes off my commute. As a matter of fact, when I first interviewed with the company, they told me that great, you want to move to Palm Coast? We have a project to eventually do something there. And it's with that knowledge that it helped make my decision to move from St. Augustine, where I was, to this great city. And I want to pause for a moment and just thank Monsieur Blanquer Mr. Nguyen, of course, Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen of the board, as a citizen, as somebody who resides here, I want to express my appreciation. What I've learned tonight, my first ever planning board meeting as a resident of this city, is that you do a lot of deliberation, due diligence, and care in making your decisions. I'm encouraged by what I've seen tonight, and I want to thank each of you for the role that you play in this process. One of the things, other than saying that, it's going to take 20 minutes off my commute, I want to express how proud I am of my company and how excited I am to have the opportunity to be able to work on homes from a location in the city in which I live. It's we're talking about traffic, we're talking about impacts, everybody's concerned about quality of life, right? And since July of '24, so more than a year and a half now, and having worked for previous concrete companies, I can vouch for the character of these people who are here tonight, beseeching you to approve their application. I know that we have a quality product. We have quality people who work to build homes for people just like you and me here in this community. And I would ask you to please take into consideration that planning staff has recommended that this product be approved. And to my neighbors, my other neighbors who have industrial property, Industrial One property in the project, I understand change is difficult. But the truth is, I can vouch for Hard Rock Management that we're good neighbors. We even have a street sweeper at the location I work at. We clean up after other people's messes. We will be great neighbors for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Terrence Nelson. I reside here in Palm Coast, Florida. I've been in the concrete industry for about 14 years, and addressing the young lady who's talking about dust and with the acid and things blowing up and stuff like that, in my 14 years, I have never experienced that. We have a plant in Jacksonville butted up against a neighborhood. So when you got neighbors like that, and no complaints, anything like that, I commute over 100 miles a day, 5 days, sometimes 6 days a week. So growth is good, and I hope that you will take into consideration, because what this young lady here talked about, the video broke it all down. You didn't see any dust, and you can't get it any simpler than that. And to leave you, I appreciate the time that you took to listen to me, and I look forward to the growth of Palm Coast.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members. My name is John Sackett. Also, I am a diesel technician over at Hard Rock, but also more importantly, I'm a member of Palm Coast. I live in Sawmill Branch. That is my community, and I also have immediate family over off Otis Stone. I can promise you, we see trucks going up and down that dirt road day in, day out, and it does create a little dust, but there's nothing there that is traumatizing, nothing to be afraid of. We drive down Hargrove every single day. We take that left-hand turn, we take the right-hand turn, we go onto Palm Coast Parkway, and there's nothing there that we're not able to communicate or figure out, and it's nothing in my impersonation that is going to cause an issue. I work out of Elkton. I'm right off 207. That is an intersection that is way more busy than US 1. And I'm just excited and hopeful that you guys will overlook and try to see what this plant can actually bring to the community. Good paying jobs. We're going to build all these homes. We're going to bring people to the community, but there's got to be somewhere where these people can work. You're going to create growth in the economy, People are going to spend money here, shop, gas, drive around, spend their taxes on registration for their cars. I think it goes beyond just what the business does, but what do the employees bring to the economy as well. That's all I have, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any additional members of the public?
Hi, my name's Jacob. I recently moved to Palm Coast, but we, as drivers, we're very considerate about the other people on the road, and we only want to help improve the community. As you saw, the traffic was an issue. As you saw from the truck getting loaded to going to the slump wreck, that's about a 20 to 25 minute long process where we have to wash the trucks off, make sure they're clean before they even get on the road. So we're very mindful of our community, our surrounding, our neighbors, and we're very mindful. I mean, my kids play on this street just like all of yours, you know, so we're very, very mindful, and we only want to help improve our community. And like they said, on 207, the traffic is a lot worse there than on US 1. And we get in and out of that neighborhood just fine, you know. Those batch houses, they have exhaust fans that suck any dust back up because no company wants any product waste. That's cuts into profits, you know, so they do have exhaust to bring them back up into the plant. And like I said, we're all your neighbors, and we would just like the opportunity to help improve the community. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is George Wiley, and I've been in Palm Coast since 2003. Started with Rinker Materials and ended up with Hard Rock, and I take pride in this company because we are good drivers, we're not just good drivers, but we are well trained. And not only that, but I want to say that we are one of the best companies out of all the other companies. If you look at our trucks and how well kept the trucks are and how clean they are, and the condition of the truck, and you look at the drivers, the way they are well dressed, and you know, and so helpful, very helpful in communication. I want to say that that is so important in how we carry ourselves for the company. We are grateful for our boss man, Mr. Austin. You know, we get trained very well to do our job, and being here in Palm Coast, I just want to say that, you know, we've done a lot here through the two companies that I work for, delivering concrete. And we built most of these houses here, and some companies don't take pride in their work. But the thing is that we want to see Palm Coast grow, and it takes me about an hour to get to work every day. And so it's very stressful. You know, you go to work in St. Augustine, and I'm always coming to Palm Coast to deliver concrete. And I'm proud of that because my neighbors, everybody get to see me knowing that I live in Palm Coast, that I'm delivering their concrete. But it's a difference when you have a concrete plant here that's kind of close, that saves time, money. People get, you know, our customers, they're happy because we're able to deliver in a timely manner, and they see how professional we are. But I just want to thank you for your time. And
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Ken Moscone. I own Moscone Insurance down off Hargrove Lane. And I don't think you'll find anybody down on Hargrove Lane that wouldn't agree that they seem like a top-notch company, that they do a great job. It's just not the right fit for them. So I would ask that you don't take their commuting hassle and make it ours, because there's hundreds of people that work down there. This is going to become a problem. And just like, I hate to say it, it's an eyesore. You know, it just doesn't fit with the other businesses that have put their blood, sweat, and tears into building their business down there. So there's got to be a better solution or a better fit. I think it was acknowledged that we had other industrial area that we rezoned. Find someplace else and let them go there. It sounds like they'd be a good fit for the community, just not where everybody else has already taken the time to establish themselves as light industrial and commercial. There's commercial down there, there's bakeries, there's all kinds of businesses that this just doesn't fit with. Again, sticking with the fact that this is a zoning change, no one's gonna wanna put something that's not heavy industrial next to this guy's plant. That whole strip is undeveloped. We already have people that have started the process of developing their lots that have put those projects on hold until they figure out what's going on with this. Because they're not going to invest their money into the plans that they have for light industrial when we don't know how much heavy industrial is going to come after them. Once this is approved, it's just going to be a matter of time before the whole fabric of that community changes. So I would ask everybody, please keep that in mind. And keep in mind that this is a zoning request change. The traffic's a big part of it, but if you approve this, we don't know what will come tomorrow. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any additional members of the public?
I'm Robert Ackley with American Civil Construction. I own the property at 77 Hargrove Grade at the end. The other heavy industrial property on the street. I just want to mention that Palm Coast is growing to the west. We're going to rebuild a bridge over the railroad at Matanzas Wood Parkway. It's all concrete. The curb and gutter in every subdivision is concrete. Every house slab in Palm Coast is concrete. I'm a consumer of Hard Rock Concrete in Jacksonville, St. Augustine, Green Cove Springs, and I want to remind people that everywhere we go, we're pouring concrete. I use concrete here in Palm Coast. If you go to Bunnell, we have 3 concrete plants in Bunnell: Cemex, Argos, or now Quikrete, and Titan. If you drive past those jobs, those projects, or those sites, Cemex is very clean, very dust-free. Trucks are in and out of Otis Hunter every day, all day long, approaching US 1 the same way they would on Hargrove Grade. My dump trucks go in and out of Hargrove Grade every day, tractor trailers loaded with heavy equipment. We have no issues. I don't know what residents on or occupants on Hargrove Grade are experiencing with my trucks there. I've been in this business for 35 years, and concrete companies, asphalt plants, steel manufacturers, these guys, they are community partners. They invest in the community. They employ people. I can't imagine how many more people will be in employment here in Palm Coast. We're losing businesses on the other side of town. The boat manufacturing, I don't know, Sea Ray or Boston Whaler or something, are leaving Palm Coast. They can't get people. The quality of tradespeople in Palm Coast, they're restricted by not being able to park in their own driveway. There's no place to work other than retail or restaurants or the trades, in roofing, plumbing, electrical. I think it's very important that with the potential growth and Palm Coast westward expansion, there's going to be a lot more heavy industrial and light industrial available west of the railroad in accordance with the St. John's Water Management permit applications that are all over public information right now. They all connect to Hargrove Grade. The railroad crossing on Hargrove Grade is likely going to introduce or be the passway from the west to the east over and over. I strongly request that you guys approve their zoning reapplication, or who knows where it goes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Are there any additional members of the public? Seeing no one approach, we will close public comment. We return to the board. Is there any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, we will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve staff recommendations that the Planning and Land Development Regulation Board determine the proposed rezoning application number 6185 is consistent with the comprehensive plan and recommended approval to the City Council to rezone the plus 10.44 acres from Industrial 1 zoning district to Industrial 2 zoning district.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Irene, roll call, please.
Board Member Gross.
Yes.
Board Member Decker.
Yes.
Board Member Hilton.
Yes.
Board Member Stansel.
Yes.
Board Member Ferguson.
No.
Board Member Nicholson.
No.
Chair Shank.
Yes.
The motion carries 4-2.
Thank you.
5-2.
Thank you. We'll now move to the next item on our agenda. Town Center Medical Technical Site Plan Tier 2, application number 6347. Mr. Nguyen.
Yes, Madam Chair and agency members, this is a development within Town Center. DRI is a development of 2 medical buildings next to the existing medical buildings along Hospital Drive, just north of that. So Mr. Hanson will present that and introducing to you to the technical site layout.
Thank you. Mr. Hanson.
Good evening, once again. Michael Hanson, Community Development. I am joined by Alicia Mobley. She is one of our technicians in Community Development, and she's volunteered to help sit with me so that way we can hopefully get her before you in the future on some of her own applications. So please take it easy on her, but I might put her on the spot a little bit as we go forward. This particular project, as Mr. Nguyen stated, is for a medical office facility. It would be located in the town center, master plan development, as you can see on the aerial. This particular area is just northwest of the hospital at Advent Health. It's north of an existing medical office, right off of Town Court, and it's east of Town Center Boulevard. The particular track is track 10A within the Town Center Master Plan Development. The development agreement does allow this proposed use. Please note that the applicant also, with their proposal, includes an internal accessory restaurant cafeteria to provide food services within the medical office park to employees, patients, visitors. That's similar to the medical office park just to the south that you see on this closer aerial, as there's a restaurant within that facility as well. The proposal that the applicant has would be two-story buildings culminating approximately 54,500 square feet. The underlying future land use designation that we have on our future land use map is part of the Town Center DRI. The applicant does have the appropriate entitlements that they've secured from the Town Center CDD. This is an image of the overall site that the applicant is looking at developing. On it, you'll see Building 1 to the north center and Building 2 to the west. They're turning a little yellow for you, with parking scattered throughout. Now, the applicant controls lots 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of Track 10A. Lot 2 that you see in the northeast is already developed with an existing assisted living facility. That's not part of this project. But as the applicant does control lots 3 and 4, although they control that, they're reserving those lots for future development for planned additional building at some time in the future through essentially a phasing plan. As the slide progressed, you may see it on your screens a little easier than the overhead monitors. Demonstrate some of the landscaping. Town Center has unique landscaping provisions. So if there is parking in front of the vehicle, or parking in front of the building, as far as like on-street parking, there has to be screening. So the applicant will be putting in the kind of common hedge screening that you'll see throughout Town Center. We have some out in front of City Hall as you were parking here and coming in the building. Additionally, with the required canopy trees and understory trees as well. The applicant provided these architectural renderings for buildings 1 and 2. As you can see, there's a selection of the color palette that they have chosen. These requirements have all been approved or checked off and met our requirements for exterior colors based on our architectural reviewer. Now, this particular site in Town Center Track 10A requires a minimum development area of 4,000 square feet, since they control 7.51 acres. They have essentially 330,620.4 square feet. So on the screen, you see where it says 230,531. That is only the lots that they're looking at developing, so it excludes lots 3 and 4. So anywhere you see a footnote for 1, those numbers are based on the developmental footprint of this phase, excluding lots 3 and 4. When the applicant comes in the future, potentially, for the development of lots 3 and 4, it'll be evaluated to ensure that that development then meets the requirement based on our Town Center Master Plan Development Agreement. As you can see, based on the site development requirements here, the application as is within our maximum impervious surface ratio, maximum floor area ratio, within the building height tolerances within the Town Center NPD Development Agreement, and is able to meet the required setbacks for their buildings. The parking provided at 198 spaces is within the 120% maximum parking that the city requires. So the Town Center NPD Development Agreement sets a parking rate of 1 space for 300 square feet. In our land development code, we do allow a provision to exceed the required parking by up to 120% of the total parking to allow for additional parking. As this application's technical site plan, it's only confounded by the 5 criteria under section 2.05.05, which the board is familiar with. Summary of findings: the application conforms to the Town Center Master Plan Development Agreement, the Town Center Development of Regional Impact documentation, the Land Development Code, the Comprehensive Plan, and staff finds that the proposed development requires with all those requirements. And therefore, staff has a recommendation that the Planning and Land Development Regulation Board ultimately approve the project. My understanding is the applicant is in attendance and does have a short PowerPoint slide for presentation as well.
Thank you. Please approach and state your name for the record, please. Applicant.
Good evening.
Good evening.
In the sake of for the record, my name's Charlie Faulkner, and I'm, I guess, the project manager, you might say.
Yeah.
This is give you a little bit better idea of how this thing's how the project's gonna look. Building 1 is at the top there on the north side. Building 2 is off to the left. A little bit, it's actually twice as big as Building 1. And then the building that's shown in this graphic on the south is going to be Phase 2. Right now, it's all medical office is what we're proposing, because that's what we're seeing a need for. But we are in talks with a potential hotel developer that really likes this location. We're going to have to do some gymnastics if that happens, but otherwise we'll be coming back to you with about 40,000 square feet of more medical office at some time in the future. This is give you a little bit of a better idea of how the Building 1 is going to, the front of Building 1 is going to look. And then this one is a video that will give you a better idea. This was produced by the architects from Jacksonville. But this, and that's how Building 2 will look. So with that, I will do my best to answer any questions or concerns, and hopefully we'll get everybody out of here so you can go home soon.
Thank you. Thank you. Would return to the board. Does the board have any questions or comments from?
I have a question. Have you developed in Palm Coast already, or is this your first entry here?
Talking about me?
Yes.
If you want to back up long enough, Town Center at Palm Coast was one of my projects years ago. So I've been here 30 years. This, by the way, it fits in perfect with our original vision of what we envisioned Town Center being.
Thank you.
And our market research shows us this is really needed here in the community. So what I try to do is figure out what's missing in a community, because if you can fill that void, you're pretty much going to have a successful project. And it's been a pleasure, by the way, working with your staff, as always. And appreciate your time.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions? Seeing none.
I was just going to say, I think, we do need more medical, and that is a good location.
Are you a Palm Coast resident?
No, sir, I'm not. I came to Flagler County in 1995. So I've been around the community quite a bit.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Seeing none, we will open for public comment. Seeing no members of the public, we will close public comment. We return to the board. We will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that staff recommends, or for approval, due to staff's recommendation, that the Planning and Land Development Board find the project in compliance with Town Center Master Plan Development, Land Development Code, and the Comprehensive Plan, and approve the Technical Site Plan Tier 2 for Town Center Medical, application number 6347.
I'll second
I'll
that.
second it. Go ahead. A lot of seconds, that one.
7 seconds.
You're good.
3 seconds. Irene, please call the roll.
Board Member Gross.
Yes.
Board Member Decker.
Yes.
Board Member Hilton.
Yes.
Board Member Stansel.
Yes.
Board Member Ferguson.
Yes.
Board Member Nicholson. Yes. Chair Shank.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. And we will now move to board discussion and staff issues. And Mr. Nguyen, it was noted that, are we going to have a workshop on March 4th?
Yes, we schedule for March 4th in 2 weeks to have the LDC chapter, I believe, 11 on tree protection and buffering, and maybe another chapter that we still preparing for that. So.
Okay. March 4th at 5:30.
At 5:30, just the workshop.
You won't be here. Okay, are there any other staff issues? Seeing none.
Oh, one here, ma'am. I was just hoping that you were going to have a couple hardball questions for Ms. Mobley for her first planning board.
No, we're letting her off easy.
Yes. Thank you and welcome. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We will entertain a motion to dismiss.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn, not dismiss.
I knew what you meant.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Wonderful. Everyone have a wonderful evening. See you on March 4th.